So welcome to my new video. So this video is for the class 12. This subject is the psychology. As you can see that the word is a psychology, that's why it is a psychology. So first chapter of the psychology of a Gujarat board class 12, that is the sensation, attention and perception. So now starting it, that as per the study of the psychology in class 11, we have seen that the human behavior enjoys a central place in the study of psychology. There are the many factors that affect the human behavior. Out of the many, the most important factor is the bodily system. Its composition, its activity, its sensation experienced by the human body, and in-depth understanding of an individual affects the human behavior. So, human gathers information about their surroundings, external world through their sensory organs. There are the various stimuli in the external environment, but the human beings select some light stimuli and gives a complete mental concentration towards it. Human beings with their former experiences and education can have in-depth understanding of the stimulus and then behave accordingly. In psychology, this process of the human behavior is known in a particular sequence has the sensation, attention and perception. So now in this chapter we are going to study the sensation and its type, meaning of attention, nature and characteristics, determinants of the attention, meaning of perception, process laws of perceptual organization and perception of depth and distances. So sensation. So an experience regarding a stimulus through the sensory organs. This is the sensation. Any type of the external stimuli affects the sense organs and affect the nerves near the sense organs are excited, and this excitation reaches the specific area of the brain. The meaning and definition of a sensation. So sensation means an experience arising out of this called the sensation. Thus a sensation is the change in a consciousness that arises out of the excitation which reaches the sensory centers in the brain. The physiologist and the psychologist have divided sensation into the three classes, and they are as follows. That is the external receptors, body receptors, and the third is the internal receptors. So the external physical environment is constantly humming with the changes in the stimulus like light, sound, heat, cold, touch, pressure, chemical air, chemical liquid, etc., which affect our different sense organs, and hence we can experience different types of sensation. Body receptor. Just like the external environment, the components, the human body's internal physiological system is responsible for the different sensation. That is this excitation of the rods and the cones for the visual sensation, excitation of the microscopic hair calls for the auditory sensation, etc. Now the third one is the internal receptor. Internal sensation arises because of the changes and movements in the organs within the body and in the internal physiological system. That is the hunger, thirst because of the dryness in the throat, suffocation, change in the blood circulation, etc. So we will study about types of sensation. Before that, I will read this. It is observed that different animal species differ in the capacity for the different kinds of sensitivity. In the same way, we can observe the differences in the sensitivity between the different human beings. By special training and experience, human beings can not develop but also increase their sensitivity. Now we will discuss the types of sensation. There are the 5 types of sensation based on the 5 sensory organs, and they are follows. That is a visual sensation, that is the eye; auditory sensation, that is the ear; olfactory sensation, that is the smell, which means the nose; and the gustatory sensation means the taste, that is the tongue; and a touch sensation, that is the skin. So first is visual sensation. Visual sensation, out of all senses, vision has the most important role in a human life. The composition of a human eye, its internal organs, the nerves that go towards the brain, and the brain are all included in the process of visual sensation. To experience the visual sensation, presence of light is inevitable and is must. So moving forward, so as per the figure of this, the external eye can be seen only when we stand in front of a mirror, of course, or when we look at someone else's eye. The white part of the eye is a tough outer layer called the sclera. So this called, the whole part is called the sclera, and the and it is made of a white fibers and not transparent, and hence can protect the inside of the eye. The sclera protect the inside of the eye, and the black part of the eye called the pupil transparent, and it is through it the light enters the eye and the reaches the retina. The gray or blue area which can be seen in the sclera is called the iris and also ciliary muscles of the eye. It is because of it that the color of the eyes can be seen. These ciliary muscles are not interconnected and they do not touch each other. The space between them is called a pupil, and the pupil is not any organ but the hole located in the center of the iris. So now according to the figure 1.2 that shows the physiological and the internal structure of the eye. The rays of the light emanating from the external object enter the eye through the pupil, and then it reaches to the retina by passing through the transparent vitreous humor in the space within the eye, which is the area of the visual sensation. And so because of it, one can experience visual sensation. How much intensity of a light will reach the retina will depend on the contraction and the expansion of the ciliary muscles. They are very sensitive to the intensity of light rays. When the light increases, the ciliary muscles get expanded and the size of the pupil becomes small. And if the light decreases, then the size of the pupil increases and the ciliary muscle get contracted. Right? So to experience the sensation of a near and I'm really sorry. To experience the sensation of a near and far, the object's retina and the ciliary muscles play an important role in the visual sensation. Moving forward to the auditory sensation, these are our ear, means you can say there is the auditory sensation, here it is located. Yeah, so this is the structure and the parts of the ear, you can see that. So moving forward to the auditory sensation, to be connected with the outer world, an individual should possess the adequate auditory sense organs to understand the direction of a sound, its distance, and to be able to differentiate between the sound waves. It is necessary to possess a sharp and active auditory sensation. Normally, when man's ear is capable to hear and distinguish a sound waves from the 20 to 20,000 Hz, that is the CPS. The full form of the CPS is a cycle per second, and the sound waves which are more than 20,000 or less than the 20 cannot be heard by the human ear. Okay, so to understand the auditory sensation in detail, it is divided into the three classes, that is the middle ear, outer ear, and inner ear. So moving forward is this. So outer ear, this includes the earlobe, auditory canal, and the eardrum. The middle ear is made up of the three interconnected bones like a hammer, anvil, and stirrup. It is also got the Eustachian tube, and it is the second part opens in the throat. The third is the inner ear. It is divided into the three main parts: the middle ear, the cochlea, semicircular canals. The sound waves from the environment enter through the outer ear into the external auditory canal, and in the middle ear, the stimulates the eardrum. The eardrum vibrates with the sound waves and activates the three bones. The vibration of these three bones transmits the concentrated energy to the cochlea and sets the fluid inside the cochlea into the wave motion. The fluid waves causes the basal membrane to move, the bending its tiny hair cells. The auditory receptors, the neural impulses through the auditory nerve reach the auditory area in the brain, and so there is a sensation of hearing. Moving forward, that is the olfactory sensation, that is means the smell sensation which is located in the nose. So olfactory sensation, physical stimuli for the just a minute. The physical stimuli for the smell are molecules of the chemical compounds dissolved in air, and this smell reaches the olfactory receptors in the nose. The smell receptors are olfactory cilia, hair-like structures located in the upper portion in the narrow canal of the passage. Olfactory receptors through the olfactory nerves are connected with the base of the brain. Each such cell type responds to different kinds of a smell, and it can be said that the olfactory sensation takes place. There are Individual differences in olfactory sensitivity. A strong smell emanating from the chemical compounds may arouse a sensation in individuals, whereas the some smell may not arouse any sensation in the another individual. Sense of the smell shows the sensory adaptation because when there is a continuous experience of the particular smell, the intensity of the sensory experience decreases and the person gets habituated to it. So this is the olfactory nose. Okay, so yeah, means this is the olfactory nose, this is the amygdala, and this is the nasal passage. Okay, so moving forward, the Hanning distinguishes 6 types of smell: the spicy, fragrant, ethereal, resonance, putrid, and burnt. When suffering from the cold, the person's olfactory threshold rises. A mild smells are not felt by him. So sense of a smells is important in our likes and dislikes for the people, choice of a food, and sexual attraction. So gustatory sensation. Physical stimuli of a taste are chemical substances from the external environment which create a taste sensation through the tongue. The tongue is involved not only in the taste sensation but it is also important in the development of a speech. It is a muscular organ and attached to the end of the jaw. The taste buds are spread over the entire surface of the tongue, and they arouse the experience of a taste. They are also called the taste receptors. So moving forward to the next person, at its base every taste bud is connected with the end of the taste receptor, a substance which can melt in the saliva. If you put over the tongue, it stimulates the taste buds. Its neural stimulation reaches the brain and arouses the experience of a taste. There are the different areas on the tongue for the experiencing a different kinds of a taste. So each basic taste has a specific kind of a taste buds which are divided into 4 types. That is, the sweet taste buds are on the tip of the tongue. Salty taste buds are on both sides of the tongue, just behind the tip. The further ahead on the both side is a sour and the buds for the bitter taste are located on the back part of the tongue. And there are no taste buds on the middle surface of the tongue. As per the Ayurvedic view, there are the four basic tastes, that is sweet, salty, sour, bitter. But in addition to it, there is spicy and astringent, which makes it total 6 types of taste. As you can see that this is our tongue, and you can see that there is a in the center of the tongue. This is the center of taste, and bitter is here, the sour is here, the salty is here, sweet is here. So moving forward to the touch sensation. So we experience the touch sensation because of the layer of the skin on the entire human body, and there are 4 types. So they include the warm, the cold, touch, pressure, pain, etc. As per the different studies and the experiments performed in the psychological laboratories, it is found that the touch sensation is experienced due to the excitation of a sensory receptors spread all over the skin of the human body. We can experience the touch sensation on the face when the skin of this face is stimulated by the touch, and it sends a message to the brain in the same way. From the shoulder to waist are sent through the excited skin receptors via the spinal cord to the lateral part of the brain, which is the center point of a touch sensation, and hence skin stimulates the activates more than one type of the receptor. That is, we can experience the sensation of a coolness and a touch both simultaneously when a drop of the rain water falls on the body. So now we will read or discuss the attention. So what is attention? What is the definition of attention? And what is the nature and the characteristics of the attention? So moving forward, so attention, meaning and definition of attention. So the surrounding world abounds in several kinds of stimuli, but a given time only a few of them can enter their brain via sense. Mind is directed or concentrated on a very few stimuli out of the large horde of them. So this process is called attention. The attention involves a physically, bodily, and mental adjustment. Attention means the single-mindedness or the concentration. There cannot be a sensation without attention. repeating again, there cannot be a sensation without attention, and it's a precondition for sensation to take place. That is, we can hear the horn of the vehicle of a people living in our society, but we can immediately recognize the sound and the horn of the vehicle of our own family members, so that we may be inside the house. A few definitions of attention in relation to the psychology are as follows. So the definition given by the H.E. Garrett, that is, attention is process of selection of a definite stimulus and concentrate on it. Again, attention is a process of selection of a definite stimulus and concentrate on it. So this definition is given by the H.E. Garrett, and the another definition is given by the James Draver. He says that the attention is a mental concentration on selected stimuli. I'm repeating again, attention is the mental concentration on selected stimuli. So from the above definition, we can infer that the concentrated on selected stimuli means attention. So moving forward to the nature and the characteristics of the attention. On the basis of the above definition, we can understand the nature and the characteristics of the attention. The following are the characteristics of the attention. The first is attention is selective, attention is adjustive, attention is explorative, attention is futuristic, attention is motivational. There are the focus and fringe area of attention, attention is shifting. So we will discuss all these characteristics of the attention. The first is attention is selective. So it is said that the attention is a selective, voluntary and initiative process. At any point of a time, there can be a many stimuli, people or object in the focus of attention, but an individual cannot attend all. Out of many stimulus in the environment, he or she selects the few of them and attends to it, whereas it disregards the others. In attention, the person selects the stimulus, that is, while watching a film, a person gets attracted towards those things in which he or she is interested. Woman viewers towards the heroine, her clothes, looks, and man viewers towards the hero, his behavior, clothes, whereas the children will focus on games and playing things. The second is attention is adjustive. There is a physical, bodily, and mental adjustment in attention, and so it helps the weak stimuli to enter the focus of attention. For the process of attention to take place, the different parts of the body, the muscles, sensory organs, etc. make adjustment with each other, which is called the psychophysical adjustment. That is, while looking at the objects which are at the distance, we contract our eyes or make them small, cover our eyes with the hands when there is too much light. Hence, we make physical and mental adjustment with our external environment so that we can see properly. Moving forward, the third is attention is explorative. Attention is purposive and stimulus in the examined, nearly observed, explored, manipulated, and then focused on it. That is, when one goes to buy a sari in the shop and it feels light, and then we will nearly observe the design, color, and other aspects by focusing our attention to it. So hence, when the stimuli attract our attention, we completely explore and observe it in detail. Attention is futuristic. We attend to objects or stimuli which are present before us. But our insight is always futuristic because while attending to something nearly, there is always an element of expectation that would happen next. What will happen next? That is, when an individual buys a house, he is not only aware of the price he is paying in the comparison to the surrounding area, but also thinks about the future infrastructure development and the value of his property. Hence, he also thinks about it from the future development point of view. Thus, we can say that the attention is forward-looking or the futuristic. So, attention is motivational. In paying attention to an object, event, or the problem, there is always dynamic factors behind it. There is a motive, desire, aim, and directing force which leads to us attend to it. That is, in a newspaper, there are the variety of information, news, and advertisement, but an individual will read only that which gives motivation, like unmarried boys and girls will focus on a marriage advertisements, unemployed will read about the different employment information, and people interested in cricket or the other sports will be attracted towards that kind of a news information. So moving forward, that is a fifth. No, it's a sixth. There are the focus and fringe area of attention. So as you can see this picture, we will discuss this. Okay, so starting that. So environmental objects which are attended to are in the focus of attention, and objects through the present but are not directly attended to are said to be in a margin of attention. That is, when we look a lighted candle in a dark room, then the candle becomes the focus and everything else become in the margin of attention. In the same way, when we listen to a singer on a radio, then the voice of the singer becomes the focus of attention while the music is in the margin of attention. It can be said that the focus and margin areas of attention are in a constant change. The focus and margin are reversible like the Rubin's vase. So if we look at the black color, we can see the two faces, and if we focus on a white color, we can see the vase. And it is very difficult to differentiate between the figure and the background, because when the face is in the focus, vase becomes the background, and the vase vice versa. So the seventh is attention is shifting. Constant change is an important feature of an attention. Unless we are in a deep concentration, attention changes from the one point to another. Attention keeps on shifting from a one object to another, and hence it is called a fluctuation of attention. So now we will discuss the determinants of attention. So why is our attention is directed to a particular object, event, or individual? What are the determinants that attract our attention? These questions are of a practical importance of advertisers and exhibitionists, because there are the main function is to draw attention of people and sustain it. There are the two types of the determinants, and they are follows. That is, the first is the objective or the external determinants. The second is the subjective of internal determinants. So first we will discuss, that is, the objective determinants. Factors which are related to color, shape, size of an object or the stimulus are called objective determinants. They are intensity, size, contrast, motion, and change. So discussing the first, that is, objective determinant. Factors which are related to the color, shape, size of an object or the stimulus are called the objective determinants. They are intensity. So first is intensity. Compared to a weak stimulus, a strong or the intense stimulus immediately attracts our attention. That is, 108 emergency ambulance loud and continuous sound attracts our attention in comparison to the doorbell. Bright light of a 500 watt bulb attracts our attention more than a bulb of a 40 watt. The size. Other things being equal, a bigger object compared to the smaller one will instantly draw our attention. That is, a huge kite hanging in a kite shop or the larger capsule hanging in a chemist shop will immediately attract attention. So contrast, dissimilar of contrasting objects compared to the similar or the simple objects play an important role in drawing attention. A Negro man going about with a white lady will definitely attract attention in Africa. So motion. Compared to the still objects, moving objects draw people attention more than quickly. So a vehicle in a motion rather than a stationary one. A flying bird in comparison to a one sitting on a branch, and a plane in the sky attract more attention. So change. The change also plays an important role in the drawing our attention. That is, a person or a train which is late every day, but sometimes it comes before the time and they attract everyone's attention. Yeah. A fan is motion suddenly stops then also attracts our attention. So moving forward, a novelty, repetition, color, and that's it. So novelty. In normal situation, when there is some newness or novelty created, then it attracts our attention. That is a teacher who dresses up formally every day, but one day comes to a school in an informal dress, then he becomes a center of attraction. Repetition and stimulus, if it is repeated again and again, then it attracts our attention. Advertiser makes a full use of repetition. During the election, either on radio or TV, the same information will be repeated again and again so that it will draw the attention of the viewers towards it. Thus, repetition is an important factor to attract attraction, or say attract people, whoever it is. So color. In the present age, advertisers along with the black and white use wide variety of colors to attract the attention of people because compared to the black and white, colored objects draw attention faster. For this reason, the title pages of books and magazines are made to bright and colorful so buyers are attracted to buy it. Subjective determinants. The physical, mental factors related to people are called subjective determinants. They are as follows. Interest or liking. A person will always pay more attention to the things which he likes or interested in it. Interest is called the mother of attention. So a person's attention is naturally drawn to the matters in which he has interest. That is, a musician attention will always focus on the rhythm. A person interested in cricket is sure to attend the programs related to the cricket. So, as per the psychologist, interest or liking not only attract attention but also help in maintaining it a long time. McDougall call liking has covert attention. Need. So, need of an individual decides his action or behavior. Biological needs like hunger, thirst, sleep, sex play a decisive role in attracting attention. A hungry man will attend to eatable things. Experiments have proved that while looking up to beautiful picture, a hungry man will be searching for the eatable things. And psychological motivates like love, curiosity, pride, security, power also play an important role in the attracting our attention. Habit. Attention is a habitual. Addiction or habit also attract attention. A habitual smoker attention is naturally drawn to the cigarette shops or advertisement even at unknown places. Learning plays an important role in attention. This type of learning or training determines the object of our attention. A doctor will attend to a disease and medicines while a construction engineer will attend to building materials and invention. The physical and mental state. The immediate physical mental state of a person controls his attention from inside. An injured person's attention frequently goes to his injured limb. Mental tension and worry will also affect our attention. So now we will discuss a perception. What is perception, meaning of perception, definition of perception, we will discuss here. So meaning and definition of perception. After we feel sensation from our surroundings environment, we attend it and can understand what it is. So the process of identifying and understanding an object is called a perception. Again, after we feel sensation from our surrounding environment, we attend it and can understand what it is. So the process of The process of identifying and understanding an object is called perception. The process of identifying and understanding an object is called a perception. Perception is more complex than sensation as it is directly related to the stimulus. When sensation becomes meaningful, it is called a perception. Thus, a perception is the process of attaining a knowledge through the interpretation of a sensation. The definition of a perception has per different psychologists are this. So again, H.E. Garrett has given the meaning of perception is the perception is an organizational process through which we organize and identify objects in their proper form. So moving forward to the next page. So the definition, really sorry, my mobile got dropped. So yeah, starting from this page, the perception is a process through which we can organize and interrupt various patterns of stimuli in our environment. So this is the definition is given by Hilgard, Atkinson and Atkinson. Wow. So perception is a process through which we organize and interrupt the various patterns of stimuli in our environment. The perception is immediate sensation plus its interpretation of an object or the situation through the sensory organs. So this definition is given by the Collins and Drewer. So as for the analysis of the above definition, it can be said that the perception is a meaningful organization of a sensation. The perception is a complex mental process. We become acquainted with our surrounding world through the various sense organs. A specific impression is made by each sense organ. The process of perception. So sensation and interpretation are present in a perception. So when we attend to an object or a person, immediately messages from one's sense organs and start reaching the brain via the spinal cord. The eye, ear, nose, etc. send nerve impulses of sensation taking place in them to brain. The brain processes this information and understanding of a meaning of a stimuli rises. So analytically, the sensation and the perception can be called a separate process, but from the experimental and synthetic viewpoint, the sensation and perception is one continuous process. The perception includes the sensation, brain, and activity understanding arising from the interpretation. So now we will discuss the laws of perceptual organization. So organization is an important aspect of a perception. In perception, the various sensations are organized in totality and we perceive the object or event as one single unit. This experience in the form of the pattern of a sensation is known as the perceptual organization. We experience a different primary sensation as one pattern, one group, or one unit. On the whole, an individual looks at the object as one single unit and not in different parts. Perceptual organization of physical objects takes place also because of a behavior of an individual. It is important to make one thing clear that a perception is not a sum total of sensation but something more. Are many factors that facilitate this organization of perception are known as the principle of laws of perceptual organization. The Gestalt psychology of Germany, mainly the Kohler and Kafka, and the Wertheimer, proposed that the brain has a capacity for the complete organization of perception. The Gestalt psychology have stated the some laws of organization as follows. That is similarity, proximity, inclusiveness, and closure. So we first discuss the similarity. So the similarity or the similar stimuli are grouped together compared to the dissimilar stimuli. The stimuli are more easily experienced as one group. So similarly, between the stimuli may be in respect to its size, shape, intensity, or quality. That is, during the national festivals, many institutions dress up the children in the colors of the national flag, like white, orange, green, and blue for the Ashok Chakra. Arrange them exactly like a formation of a national flag. In the above figure 1.8, cross and circle are seen as horizontal lines and each because of their similarity. So moving forward, the proximity. Stimuli lying near each other are experienced as a group, while objects at some distance from each other of stimuli arising at some interval of time are experienced as a separate. In figure 1.9, lines are near each other are seen as a single group, but lines arranged in pairs are seen as four pairs of lines because of a law of nearness of proximity. Inclusiveness. So, in figure 1.10, it has been observed that lines and dots have different shapes. Their existence and meaning are also different, but they perceived as a complete lines and dots and not seen separately, but due to the law of inclusion are seen in a figure of a percentage and or a division. So the fifth is no, this is the fourth is closure. Even if there is some empty space between the stimuli or even a closure, even if the object appears to be incomplete, there is a tendency to see it as a complete figure. This tendency is called a closure. Our brain has the tendency to interrupt the stimulus that is incomplete or of empty spaces as a whole stimulus. So now we will discuss the perception of depth and distance. The perception along with the sensation gives the cognitive experiences. We perceive the world and the objects that is in the three dimension, length, breadth and depth or distance. The perception of a depth or a distance is a complex process. We perceive depth or distance on the basis of structure of our eyes and some cues. To understand perception, it is important to know about non-visual monocular cues and the binocular cues. The non-visual cues, that is, such cues are based on the processes other than vision. They include the accommodation and convergence. In these cues, the image falling on the retina through the pupil of the eye is not used. Accommodation. So, to receive the image falling on the retina, there are the adjustment moments in the lens. To receive the sharp image on the retina from the distance, the lens contracts and its convexity decreases and a pupil contracts. This accommodation occurs with the help of the ciliary muscles of the eye. The kinesthetic sensation arising from these movements provide cues for the distance perception. So moving forward, the convergence. So to see a near object, the both eyes can move in all the four directions. Even if we close the one eye and see with the other eye, the eyeball of the closed eye also moves with the open eye in the direction of the object. Thus, when we direct our eyes to look at an object near or a distance object, the two eyes always converge simultaneously. This cooperation between the eyes in the nature and developed from the childhood. While the changing the focus from the near to far or the far from far to near, the conversion persists. Sensation in the eye movements are important cues for the interpretation of depth. So, monocular cues. The cues that are useful in the depth and distance perception where the use of a single eye is necessary are called the monocular cues. They are perceptual cues operative in a vision with the one eye and are as follows. The interposition or the covering. When the contours of one object partially covers the contours of another object, the object whose contours are covered is obviously seen as far. This is because the interposition. Sorry for the miss. Figure 1.12, the contours of a triangle B are covered by the contours of the triangle A, and hence the triangle B is perceived to be afar and seen as behind. So B, the aerial perspective or the clearness. Objects whose details and contours are very clear, well defined, are understood to be close. The contours and the details of the objects at distance look gray and hazy because of the atmosphere. Looking down from the tall building, objects that are near look clear, but objects that are far look unclear, and the scene looks hazy. It is for this reason that the stage performance of a drama, a minute net screen is placed in front, so that the scene on the stage looks hazy and the effect of a distance can be created. The C is the linear perspective. So when parallel lines while receding merge in a retinal image at some point on the horizon, it is a linear perspective. That is, in the figure 1.14, when we stand between the two rails of the railway tracks, we see the two rails converging to a point on a horizon, but we do not consider the convergence as reality. Painters use these cues to indicate the relative distance of an object in the picture. Light and shade. So, light always travels from the top to bottom and have shadows cast by an object either fall below or behind. In this way, the light and the shade can help us to know the distance of an object. When we look at the photograph of moon, the bright area perceived as hills and the shaded area is looked as valleys or ditches. The painters as well as the directors of a drama use the cue of a light and shade to indicate the nearness of a distance. Moving forward, the relative size of a familiar object. If an object whose real size is known to us appears small in relation to surrounding objects or to its known size is perceived to be at a distance. As objects moves farther away, its size decreases and its image on the retina also becomes small. We interpret the retinal image on the basis of a familiar size. Retinal images may differ from the but size of the objects remain constant. Texture of a surface and gradient. Gradient is a slow and gradual change in the surface. Such changes in the surface of the ground provide cues for a distance. The nearer surface looks full of details and rough. We can see the peaks and mounds, but as the distance increases, the surface of the field becomes more uniform and the texture gets finer. So if the texture looks smoother, it is perceived to be at a distance. Thus, the pattern and the gradient of the surface also help in perceiving the depth and distance. Binocular cues. So, when an object is seen in both the eyes, there are the two retinal images of the object, yet we perceive a single object. The cues which help in a distance perception when both the eyes are equally involved are called the binocular cues. So moving forward to the next page, we can say that the double image and that is a binocular disparity. So in the double image, you can look at the two objects in the space in front of you, one nearer and the other far. Focus on your vision on the nearer object and try to look at the object that is afar. It will look unreal and will have a double images. Normally, we are not consciously aware of the two images, but its indication helps in the perception of relative distance. Binocular disparity. When we see an object with the two eyes, the retinal images falling on the two retinas are not identical. So there is a difference between the retina images on the of the left and the right eye because there is a distance of 2.5 inches but between the two eyes. So there is a difference in the location of their fovea. Visual areas of left and right eye differ. Left eye has a visual area a little more on the left and the right eye has a visual area a little more on the right. This is called a binocular disparity. In spite of this disparity, when we see both the eyes, their retinal images merge. We do not have a double vision but one stereoscopic vision in the 3D and perceive the depth and distance. Hence, to get the information about the external world, the sensation, attention, and perception are important and prominent physical mental process. So, this is the end of the chapter. So, we will soon be coming to the second chapter, that is the learning. So, subscribe to this channel if you like my video. So like the video and subscribe to channel. Okay, bye.